Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm very excited about today's video and I'm hoping a lot of you guys are excited as well because I did a video like this I want to say about a year ago where I ranked all of my Colourpop 9-pan palettes and my 12-pan palettes. I can't exactly remember if I ranked my 12-pan palettes. I feel like I did. I'm not too sure, but I'm gonna do it again. This was really hard because you guys know Colourpop came out with a lot of palettes. I feel like I've been getting almost literally every single Colourpop collection or palette, and I feel like they come out with more 9-pan palettes than 12-pan palettes, but I don't have as many 12-pan palettes as I thought I would, well, compared to the 9-pan palettes. So let me show you guys the palettes right here, which are already ranked. I don't want to spoil it, but let's just go ahead and dive into the ranking. So you guys might be really upset with me about my least favorite eyeshadow palette. First of all, honestly, the formula across all of these is amazing and very consistent, so it's really just coming down to color story and how much use I get out of these palettes. My least favorite goes to this one right here. This is the ZODIAC palette by Kathleen Lights. Personally, I just feel like this isn't a color story that I'm really drawn to. I love the idea behind this eyeshadow palette. I love that she came up with a shade that she felt as though matched each Zodiac. The Libra one is so simple, but yeah, so this is my least favorite one. I rarely pull from this. I'm happy I got it because it's an amazing collectible. This is probably one of my favorite types of packaging that Colourpop has ever done. It has all the little Zodiacs on it, on the front, everything like that. It's really pretty. The next one goes to the Yes Please palette, and I believe this was Colourpop's first eyeshadow palette or 12-pan palette ever. Personally, I got it because everyone raved about it, so I wanted to see what the hype was about. But personally, there are other like cooler toned, sunsetty kind of palettes that I prefer, and this one is just definitely not my favorite. I haven't gotten much use out of it. I do like this one a little bit, just a little bit more than the Zodiac because I can create full looks with this. The next one is the X's and O's palette. Okay. There is another red tone type of palette that I just love a lot more that you're gonna see towards the top picks, but this one I just feel like, I don't know if this was an Ulta exclusive or not, but this one I just feel like it's just not, I'm not really drawn to this. I don't really get inspired by this color story. And I rarely pick from this. This one is probably pretty new to my collection. I feel like I got this like maybe 2 months ago and I used it once and never touched it again. But yeah, I mean, it's an okay palette. Number 16 goes to the Sailor Moon eyeshadow palette. You guys, this packaging, also probably one of my favorites, but okay, I know you guys are probably like, girl, what is wrong with you? But this color story is not one that I pull from all the time. Believe it or not, when this collection came out, I never saw Sailor Moon. I didn't even know what that was, who that was. You guys are probably like, oh my god, girl, what is wrong with you? But I'm being completely honest with you guys. I got this because I thought it was a really pretty eyeshadow palette. It is fairly light, and I found that this is a palette that you guys can't really see it on camera, but I feel like with this palette I have to use it as like a companion palette because I can't like use it on its own because it's way too light. The next one goes to Sweet Talk. I remember when this first came out and people were going crazy over this eyeshadow palette. This is also another spring palette. I feel like I'm sensing like a pattern with myself here. I'm not the biggest fan of like pastel-y, springy kind of palettes. Sometimes I feel like I have to force myself to get used out of this palette. This is another palette that's just really light and there's only like 2 shades that are deep enough in this palette for me, and I feel like I get a ton of the same looks out of this particular palette. The next one goes to a palette that is fairly new. While I do think this is a really good eyeshadow palette, I don't know, you guys, I had to like rank these and put these in here on like which ones I reach for the most, but this one is honestly a really cool color story and I do really like this palette. This is the BOUDOIR palette. I still can't say this, but I don't reach for this one as much. It is really pretty and unique and I do really like this eyeshadow palette. But there's other palettes that I love a lot more. You know, Colourpop has a lot of 12-pan palettes. Of course, there's some that I just gravitate to a lot more. like the Flutter by palette. So this one also has really cute packaging. Truly, whoever creates the graphics for Colourpop's eyeshadow palettes deserve an award because it's honestly amazing and really gorgeous, and Colourpop has some of the best packaging on the market. This one is a cool tone palette, and of course it's not like an ideal palette for me, but it is in the mauve family. So you guys know I love my pinks, purples, and my mauves. This one has a lot of lighter shades that I really can't use, so I do like to use this palette in conjunction with another one, but I don't have a problem doing that, so to speak. But this is really, really gorgeous. I get some really pretty looks out of this whenever I do use it. The next palette is also a purple palette, and this is the You Are a Cutie palette. This is an Ulta exclusive. I believe this came out in 2020 for the Ulta exclusive Valentine's Day collection, and I got this on sale for like $8. That was the only reason why I bought this, but I do enjoy this every time I use it. It's a really pretty palette. I just love the whole vibe of this. Okay, so number 11 goes to the Dream Street palette. This one is absolutely dreamy. I do really love this palette. I got this right when it was getting ready to be discontinued. I believe this was like last year, and I want to say like February or March time, where they were like literally discontinuing this palette and the Zodiac palette. So I was like, let me grab this because I don't want to miss out. I collect Colourpop, so let me collect this. This is probably one of my favorite Kathleen Lights collabs, along with the So Jaded palette, but this is such a gorgeous, well thought out color story, very cohesive, and I always have so much fun pulling from this eyeshadow palette, and I'm so happy I picked this up because if I hadn't, I would have been so upset with myself. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into the top 10 eyeshadow palettes, and this is where it got hard for me, like truly hard for me. So number 10 goes to the Whatever palette. This is the palette I was telling you guys about, like another red palette that I love more than the X's and O's. This one is definitely more my vibe. It's like orange, red, and brown and gold in one palette, and it's so gorgeous. I need to use this one some more because I don't really get as much use out of this, but I just love the aesthetic of this palette. I love the color story. Number 10 spot is definitely worth this palette, truly. The number 9 spot goes to the Bye Bye Birdie palette. Oh my god, it matches my whole vibe today. And I love this palette. Oh my gosh, I love this palette. Now, this is like my vibe when it comes to like fuchsia and like purple and pink mixed together. I feel like this is like it's so hard to see with the packaging, but first of all, can we like talk about how gorgeous the packaging is on this palette? I don't believe this is sold on the site anymore, which makes me so sad because I really feel like this palette is so underrated. This was absolutely beautiful and I thoroughly enjoy using this palette. Number 8 goes to the Menage a Moi palette, and once again, you guys are going to see a lot of purpley mauve colors in the top 10 because like, come on. This one is also fairly new. I love that there's a mirror in this. Like, truly, I love that. So hard to see with the packaging. I want to set this to the side because I want to use this one tomorrow. I just really gravitate to palettes like this. I don't know why. I don't know why. Number 7 goes to last year's Valentine's Day palette. The All That palette is like my go-to date night palette. I love it. It's so sultry and sexy and very stunning. This shade right here, Infatuation, oh my gosh. I have to swatch that for you guys. I know I haven't really swatched because I felt like it's like so late and I like am forgetting to swatch, but I just want to swatch this shade because it's like that Colourpop like metallic foiled, like extremely foiled formula, and it is so pretty. Oh my gosh, like this shade alone makes this whole palette worth it, and I loved this. It's so fun and like grungy, and this wasn't like the typical Valentine's Day palette that you would expect, which is why I think that's why I loved it a lot, even more than I intended to. But you know, really love this palette. This one goes to the Good as Gold. I love golds. I don't know why. I'm really attracted to them. I think they complement my skin tone really well. Of course, this palette is right where it's at. This palette also has like the really foiled formula. I hope Colourpop does more of those formulas because I truly love it. There's this really gorgeous like fine glitter in this palette as well, and I just really love it. It's like really pretty. Oh my gosh, it's stunning. Number 5 goes to the Give It To Me Straight palette. This was like my everyday palette of 2020, and of course some other palettes came out and now that's like my everyday palette. I didn't forget about this one. I love this one. This is like the perfect everyday palette for me. I don't know why I was more drawn to the mattes than the shimmers. I like literally use the mattes religiously and not the shimmers, but seriously, my favorite palette to date. I'm so happy I got this. This was one of like the earlier Colourpop 12 pan palettes and I managed to get it. I saw it on the site and I was like, okay, I cannot wait because I don't know how much longer this is gonna stay on the site. So I picked it up and I'm so happy that I did. Number 4 goes to a very new palette. This is the Off Melrose eyeshadow palette. This is like my everyday palette now. So of course this is in the number 4 spot. There are 3 other palettes that I love and I can't wait to tell you guys about them, but this one I have a full-blown review on a lot of these palettes if you want to see me go in depth on these, but truly a gorgeous palette. This is an Ulta exclusive as of right now, but it is going to be going to Colourpop's site I believe this month sometime. I'm not sure when, but definitely this month. But I recommend getting your hands on this. See my review because I raved all about it. It is literally my favorite. Number 3 goes to an eyeshadow palette that had a very short lifespan, like shorter than short, like only one launch, no restocks, any of that, and that is the Hola Chola palette. This is Colourpop x Becky G's collab palette. This was Colourpop's first all matte palette at the time and I love the aesthetic of this. I feel like it literally reminded me of the 90s and I'm so happy I picked this up. Like I'm so happy. What really made me pick it up was the packaging. I really wasn't into just mattes at the time that this came out, but I'm so happy I got it. Like seriously, this is a vibe. This is probably my most used Colourpop eyeshadow palette because like there's so many dips in here. I don't even know if you guys could see. I don't know if you guys could see the dips, but like I have so many dips in here. It's so hard to see because it's matte. This was the only collab I got from Becky G. I know she had like 2 other ones, or maybe, yeah, like 2 other ones I missed out on, and I'm so mad that I did, but I'm so happy I got this one. Number 2. This was so hard for me because this number 2 palette used to be my absolute number 1 Colourpop palette out of all of them. Literally my absolute favorite. It still low-key is. It's kind of like number 1 and number 2 are kind of like what and what with each other, but kind of breaks my heart to say. Number 2 goes to the California Love palette. Oh my gosh, this is my go-to summer palette. It will forever be my go-to summer palette, and when I was also living in California, this is the palette I use all the time. I felt like it was the perfect representation. My favorite shade in this palette is called Diego. It is so gorgeous and buttery. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This shade is absolutely beautiful. Like seriously, you guys, I'm obsessed with this palette and it is literally my favorite. I'm not sure if this is sold on the site. Like I hate that all the good palettes are no longer sold. Like what, Colourpop? What are you doing? But I love this palette, truly. But I have a number 1 palette, and you guys probably already know because I didn't talk about it yet, and that is the Raw Beauty KRISTI collab with Colourpop. I don't know what it is about this palette that I thoroughly enjoy. I can use every single shade in this palette. Every time I create a look with this, it is so different and fun. This is like a palette that I do not have in my collection. It's so unique, and literally I have no other palette like this, and I'm so happy that this was created. It's so all skin tone friendly and all the shades run deep. I love that there's more mattes than shimmers because I normally gravitate to mattes over shimmers. Trust me, I love a good sparkle, I love a good shimmer, but something about a nice all matte look just really gets me going. Like today, all matte look with a shimmery inner corner is like my vibe. So this is why I really love this palette, and seriously, when they restock this, y'all, don't miss out on it because the collabs, guys know, like collabs never stay. They're not permanent. You know, you'll get like 1 or 2 restocks out of it and it's like over, you know? So I know not to miss out on the collabs because sometimes the collabs are like what we really are missing. You know what I mean? But that is all of my Colourpop 12 pan eyeshadow palettes ranked. But yeah, if you guys want to see me rank my 9 pan palettes, the 9 pan palettes are... oh, there's a lot. So yeah, let me know down below if you want to see that or if you want to see any of the 20 30 pan or 18 pan palettes, 15 pan, can't remember, or are the other ones ranked as well. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.